Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Gay with God podcast, a safe place for us to share our stories and support one another. How long did we know? What challenges did we face? Did we lose our faith? When did we find our way back home? Or are we still searching? The stories you hear on this podcast will melt your heart and strengthen your belief that in God, all things are possible, and you can be authentically gay with the God of your understanding. I am your host, Midge Noble, and I am very honored that you are here. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gay with God podcast. I'm very glad that you're here. Today, I am sitting looking out of the cabin window at Corgi Haven Lane, and it's misty, foggy, and somber. And it makes sense that it's somber on this day, this Memorial Day weekend, where there are parades and barbecues and maybe a lot of things going on. And yet the lives of those people who made a commitment to serve our country, to lay down their lives and die in service to our country, those actual heartbeats are only going on in the lives that they touched and the memories that we continue to give them as they live on in our hearts and minds. So if you have someone that you are particularly remembering today on this Memorial Day, I send my love and my heart to you. Now, there was people in my life that did serve, and they did not die in the time that they served. They have since passed now, and I am proud that they did serve our country. But today we stop and we honor the people who we remember that did actually die in service to our country. And as much as that we've tried to be conned into believing that this is a day of celebration, it really isn't in my mind. It isn't, because those lives did not get to come back to a parade. Those lives did not come back to continuing with their families. Those lives did not come back and be able to again fight for this country, maybe not with guns, but maybe with protests, maybe with signing petitions, maybe with running for Congress, maybe honoring their constitutional pledge that they will uphold the Constitution, that they will fight tyranny on this side of whatever ocean they fought on. So when I remember all those who died, my mind this weekend has just been somber, kind of like the foggy mist that I'm looking at. My mind is somber and my heart is somber, because if those people who died for this country were able to see what has happened in just the last few months to this country, I think that they would be also heartbroken. Their hearts would be somber. Their hearts might be angry, as mine is. Their heart may be broken because they sacrificed everything, absolutely everything, to make sure that we had freedom, to make sure that wars didn't come to our land. And yet, we have an internal war that is brewing, that is ugly, that is unimaginable, and something that I never, ever thought in my 66 years, I never thought we would be fighting this particular war on our own soil. And it's a war that cannot be easily won, because there are so many people who have put their hands up and put their heads in the sand and refused to see the truth that lies right in front of them. And I don't understand that. I truly, truly do not understand that. And I don't know if I ever will. I don't know if we can understand why someone would choose to absolutely turn their back on the Constitution of the United States and say, I'm going to follow this one person and I'm just going to turn over all of my rights and all of my freedom and all of this country and my constituents and all the people that put me in office. I'm going to just let all that go and do whatever this one person tells me to do, even when it is going against the very Constitution that we were founded on and the exact thing that we fought against and we were liberated from on another holiday that we celebrate, Independence Day. And now instead of looking forward to any kind of celebration for that, which I don't feel independent, I don't feel free. The LGBTQIA plus community has never been free. We have always been looked at as something less than who we are. We have always had a target on our back. We have always had people refuse to give us the rights that we deserve until we were given the right to marriage. And now they're wanting to take it away. We were given safety protocols to get a job and to be able to have a home that we live in. And yet, how long will that happen? How long will we have it? We have to live in fear now of going back out on the streets and holding hands. I have already heard of 2 different incidences this past week where people have been physically beaten up because they presented as gay in public and harassed, called names, and followed in a car while they were on foot until they could get to safety, just because they presented authentically and they were out in the open and their hair was short. They had dyed it blue and they had masculine clothing on. This is our country now. This is what our grandfathers, uncles, fathers fought for and died for, so that we can now discriminate again, still, because our African American and our Native American and brown brothers and sisters all know this is nothing new, that we're going to discriminate against people who are marginalized. But this is not what people died for. This Memorial Day is a somber day because of their death. And as I said before, it's somber for me because I don't think they would want to see that what they died for was almost for nothing as we look at our world today. And it's a disservice, it's a discredit to their honor that they fought and died for those people in this society who refuse to look at the writing on the wall in the history books and how Hitler took over his country. And we are giving, excuse me, that playbook is being played out again in our country. We are allowing the words and the policies of a crazy man to be what everybody thinks is the gospel over here in our country now. If he speaks it, then we're going to just do it without thinking, without cause and effect, without caring about what's going to happen to our elderly, what's going to happen to the people who can't hardly afford their food now, what's going to happen to the children who need special services, who need food. As I was a school counselor back in the day, I knew for a fact that children that came to our school that ate breakfast in our cafeteria and had a hot lunch were the only plates of food they would get until the next morning. We had severely poor students in our school. And if it were not for the programs that were put in place so that our kids could eat a free lunch and a free breakfast if they qualified, they wouldn't have had food. And if they did, it wouldn't have been nutritious. It wouldn't have kept them awake. It wouldn't have kept them from being super hyper. Because if anything they got, it was processed sugar and it was quick. It wasn't a real meal. So what are our kids going to do? How is that going to affect their ability to learn, their ability to retain information, their ability to control their behavioral impulses when they're not getting the nutrition that they need and they may be getting a whole lot of processed sugar? So I hurt. My heart is broken in this moment of remembering all of the lost souls who fought valiantly so that we would not even have to deal with this from another country. But also, I don't think they ever would have imagined that we would be fighting this fight on our own soil with our own Congress that refuses, not all of them, but we know who you are, that refuse to follow our Constitution and follow what you say is morality. Taking food out of children's mouths, putting people at harm's way because you cannot guarantee their safety, unleashing the absolute bigotry and racism and ugliness that's there. I'm not saying anybody started it. It's always been there. And yet we've unleashed it. We've allowed people to have permission to destroy people's property without even a warrant to search, to snatch people off of our streets and take them to unknown locations, to refuse to treat them respectfully when they're in our care. We have not continued to be a moral country. We are now the enemy from within. And as a Christian, I talked about this in the formation class yesterday. We were talking about how love still has to be the guiding force and that we can speak truth to power. But am I speaking truth from a place of Christ love, or am I speaking truth in anger? And I admitted that it's both for me. It really depends on the day. And I'm quite open with that. I try my best to be the most loving, generous person and to have the love of Christ in me that I extend to others. And this moment in time in our history has really, really called me into introspection because I don't always speak from love. I do speak from anger and sometimes just hostility. And my heart gets hard and I can't even find any kind of compassion for the people that are allowing this to happen. To be gay with God means that as a marginalized person that is always trying to make sure I have the right to live and be free and to be happy and to be safe, I am sometimes not doing that from a place of Christ love. I'm coming from a place of fear and deep rage and a desire to want karmic negativity to happen to the other side. And that's not Christ. Even though Christ turned over tables, that's not because he did that from anger. It's because he did it from deep compassion for the people that he loved that was not treating the temple correctly and not treating the marginalized people correctly because they could not afford to pay the price they were charging in the temple for their sacrifices. So, yes, he had curt words for people. He did speak truth to the power of those who were in control. And he also always followed his Mosaic laws, and he made sure that he did not break those laws. And yet, he made sure that he spoke that truth, and he did not let the people who were also breaking rules get away with it. So we are still called to speak up when we see injustice, to call it out. But when we speak up, when we challenge authority, are we doing it from a place of compassion, not only for the people we love and care about and the marginalized, but are we doing it to still respect the peace of God that's in every other person we're looking at? Did Hitler have a piece of God in him? Does the person who sits in the Oval Office have a piece of God in him? The breath of life was breathed into Adam and Eve. How can they not? Any ancestors from them, how can we not all be connected by that breath of life? And that means, as we've said before, that God loves every single person because they're all his children. He may not always be pleased with us missing the mark or going to the dark side, and yet God is still here for us and still for them. I really have a hard time wrapping my head around that. I know that's the human me getting in the way of everything, because as a human, I don't have both of those agape love and humanness in me. I have just the breath of life, and I can dip down there and find compassion that I believe is part of the God love within me. And yet it's really hard for me to keep that all together and not fragment into rage and anger, and still trying to be compassionate and love and to pray for those people that are trying to just destroy our country. On this Memorial Day, as we remember those who fought so hard for us to be free, I pray that the hearts and minds of the Senate who will be voting on that very ugly bill, that they will remember the oath they took, that as congressional members, that they will remember what they were really here to do, to listen to the constituents who are pleading for safety, who are pleading for, all the money not to be drained from their bodies and go into a billionaire's pocket. We have a responsibility to continue to write, call, speak up, be present as we can, be physically present as we can. That we will show up in solidarity with every person who may not have as much as we do, maybe for people that have a little bit more, but they still need the care and the welfare and the protections of our government. I said to my wife the other day that this is the first time in 66 years that I have ever felt this unsafe. And there have been places I've been in my past that I was very unsafe, and I made unsafe choices, and I was really reckless. And it's a miracle that I'm alive today, really. It really is. And yet, I should not have to fear my safety in my own country because the police officers or the ICE agents or the whoever's coming after all of us, you know, how can we feel safe when we know that they are snatching people off the street and nobody knows where they take them and nobody knows if we can get them back? And that the person in the Oval Office continues to defy legal orders from judges, and he acts like he's already the dictator or the king of this country when we do not have a king. So on this somber, misty morning, as I reflect on all the things that break my heart, the one thing that doesn't break my heart is the ongoing love and presence of the God of my understanding. And I know that the wrongs will be righted. I just don't know when. I have full confidence that God is with us through all of our joys and through all of our sorrows, that the presence of God is within us and never leaves us, is always cheering for us, is always sending the Holy Spirit to be the balm that surrounds us during the worst part. The only thing that we have to do is to make sure that we stay connected to that. We cannot separate ourselves from the God of our understanding by only clutching to fear, by only making sure that we stay in that hypervigilance, anger, and rage. To know the surrounding love and comfort of the God of our understanding We need to take the time to be in silence and focus on the love that is there and within us. It's important for us to stay connected to our community and to know that we don't have to do everything. We just have to do one thing, that we can help someone else or offer some kind of hope. I write and call my senators, even though it may be useless. It is the thing that I still honor, that I can do, and I have a right to call and speak my mind, and I will continue to do that. I speak on this podcast. I speak on social media. I share things. And then we all need to take a break from it. People tell me all the time, you need to get off the social media. I will not get off the social media, but I do need to also remember to focus on more than just the fight. I need to remember that when my vessel is getting empty, I need to go away from it and refuel. I need to remember to stay connected to the God of my understanding in my daily practice, in my time of meditation. I am responsible for my well-being during this war on our soil. And I hope that you will also continue to feel the presence of the God who does love you. Don't listen to the churches who still are providing religious trauma for people. Don't listen to the government who doesn't acknowledge you. Don't listen to your neighbors, your parents, your uncles, your aunts, whoever is diminishing your right to be here. You are a piece of God, and God has breathed life into you, and God loves you. No matter what anybody else says, you have to know it within your soul because it's true. I am hugging you. I am sending you light and love on this somber Memorial Day. And let's remember to continue to rise up, speak out, and be the voice of love. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I thank you for supporting and sharing and subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to see more information and links to connect with me, go to the Gay with God show page at empoweredmidge.podbean.com, and you can see how to set up a free consultation with me. We can have a little chat, get to know each other better. You will not be charged for this. And if you decide you wanted ongoing coaching with me, we could set it up at that time. Or you can set up an appointment with me by going to gaywithgod.com, and that's my website at gaywithgod.com, and you can set up an appointment there. Also, remember to stay in community. You can join the Gay with God Facebook page. Make sure you answer all the questions to be invited into the group. And tonight we're doing My Faith Journey, a Zoom group where all people, no matter where you live, can join. We even have someone coming in from England each Monday that we do that. We do this group once a month, and it's a time for us to get support and help on our faith journey and how we're doing, and to be in community, like I spoke before, to stay in community. And so even if you can't be around people where you live, Zoom in, and we are there to help support each other and to walk this life together. If you are listening to this podcast and are questioning whether you can be gay and be in a relationship with the God of your understanding, if you identify as LGBTQIA+, not even sure if you're gay, God has always been within you. Even when you didn't know it, you have always been Gay with God. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned to see how you can join the Gay with God community. And as always, you are loved. I want to invite you to become a part of the Gay with God community. How can you do that? Stay connected by messaging me your thoughts and comments in the comment section under the downloads of the show on the Gay with God show page. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen, and share so we can increase our community outreach and be a light to those who are struggling to claim their faith. Consider being a sponsor so I can highlight your service in our community. We are all worthy of respect and a relationship with the God of our understanding. I want to thank you in advance for supporting this podcast. Together, we as a community will keep this show visible and our community stronger. Deep gratitude to my friend Tim McClendon of Tim McClendon Music for allowing me to use an excerpt from Interlude 4, a song found on his CD entitled Sundance.